with masking, you know what the masking, I assume you know what the masking is, but you very often show very little emotion, and one other thing happens. The eyes tend to widen, you blink less, and you tend to turn your head without moving your eyes. Somebody says something over here, you do this instead of like this, and get those eyes over to look. So one of the exercises that we're going to do is actually an eye exercise, and it's possible that it will make you dizzy because there's muscles in there. What you're going to do is you're going to turn your head to the right. Now I want you to keep your head there and turn your eyes to the left. And turn your head to the left, and I think you know where we're going with this. Eyes to the right, head to the right, eyes only to the left. One more time, turn your head and send the eyes in the opposite direction. Relax, take a second, and assess how your eyes feel. A lot of people tell me that they really feel like they have, done push-ups with their eyes when they do some of these eye exercises. Some of them come up and around with your eyes closed. If you're going to do eye exercises with your eyes going up and around like this, you want to do it slowly, but you want to close your eyes because you will get dizzy. Now I'm going to talk about freezing and moving. And that would be down here on the bottom, the little freezy picture of me. That's actually in my spa bathroom. Nothing but professional for me. Excuse me, I have to get one little thing. Okay. People freeze because their brain has ceased to function in the way that it had been functioning before in order to move your body. Your legs or your feet, you think, I want to step. And this has been eclipsed by Parkinson's. But as we learned last night, the synapses in the brain can make new synapses, basically make new grooves in your brain and tell yourself how to move differently. And once you move differently, you won't be moving the way you ever did before. So in order to take a step, if you're frozen, don't think, I want to take a step. Think, I'm going to throw my hands over there. And your body is actually going to start following, partly because of gravity and movement, and partly because it's thinking in a different way. Sometimes technology and I just don't get along. Sometimes you can take a little pointer or something and you can point it at the floor, and instead of actually doing this, you think, I want to step on a spot. Instead of, I want to step, I want to stomp on that spot. And the brain will actually take over because it's not stepping like it always has, it's stomping and doing something different. You do it enough times and all of a sudden you're able to do what Parkinson's stopped you from doing. Turning, instead of turning like this and then stopping and turning around. My father really had problems with that one. He'd come up like this and I see this. Almost like he couldn't do a back step. So we take this guy again and we walk with our arms by tossing your arm back. You can hardly help but follow it if that arm goes back. The same thing with turning, and I'd like you to just go ahead and sit in your chairs. And isn't turning kind of a problem when you want to just turn your head sometimes? You want to turn and look behind? Or you want to scoot around in your chair? Don't do it with your head. Of course not. Don't use your head. Use your elbow. And you can use your elbow to turn that direction too. What you've done is you've actually moved your shoulders, which allows the head to rotate instead of fighting this way against your shoulders. Standing up using a chair. I'm going to be out here because I think more people can see me out here than up there. Now you get to use your head. We're going to stand up by scooting forward on the chair. Oh my gosh, I don't either have 2 minutes. Scoot forward on your chair. Turn your knees to the one side and tuck your feet kind of. Lean over your knees and stand up. And you'll find that you'll be able to have more strength in your legs for standing instead of trying to stand up like you had been before. There's always another one called the whoop-de-la. And some people like this. You have to have strong legs for the whoop-de-law. But you take your hands and do the same thing. You just kind of throw those hands up into the air. While I'm out here, I'm going to just go away from that. I'm going to tell you about some drills. Some people have problems in, oh goodness, I have somebody who's volunteering. If you have problems in tight spaces, I watched a person try and get into pews one time. To save his soul, he couldn't get in there. But if he had practiced, like setting up chairs like I show here, and going in a little bit and turning and coming around. Maybe the first time he would have done this and then been able to turn around. But after he repeated that 6, 7, 8, 10 times in one day, he'd be able to do that again. And I know he would because my dad did. A lot of us have a long hall. I'd just close all of the hall doors. I'd put a chair down at the end of the hall for my dad. And I'd tell him, I want you to walk down the hall, sit down, stand up, and come out. And the first time he'd go down and kind of sit down. And of course, leaning forward, he'd stand up and come out. He was uncomfortable doing that. But the second time, he'd already done it once. So he'd go down the hall, and he'd sit down because he knew the chair was there, and he'd practiced on the chair, and he'd stand up. Pretty soon, he'd be hiking all the way down the hall, and he was able to do things that he couldn't have done just 10 minutes prior. Moving quickly is extremely important. Your body has been fighting you, you've been fighting your body, and age doesn't do us any favors. If you forget how to move quickly, what's going to happen when your grandchild runs in front of a truck? Either you're not going to be able to respond, or you're going to hurt yourself because you do. Here's a real good one, and it's called Kick the Yappy Dog. You can hold onto your counter, and you just kick. Kick the yappy dog. For your hands, what I want you to do is take your dominant hand, right hand, left hand. I want you to grab a fly that's over your head. With the other hand, I want you to grab a fly that's out in front. I want you to take your dominant hand again, across, grab that fly, snatch it right out of the air. And this one, the fly's on the table. Get it with the other hand. Nice and quick. Give me just a little bit. I know. But we have so much to cover. If you have problems with cadence and gait, and we're doing this, good posture is going to have a better arm swing. So crack the walnut, get the arm swing going, and then you can start your walk. If you don't have a good arm swing and it's short, your steps will become shorter. The shorter the arm swing, the shorter the steps. The shorter the steps, the more you do this. The more you do this, the more you think you're going to fall. The more you think you're going to fall. There's the hands, and there you are again. So practice exaggerated walk. Not fast. You're not doing it in order to get a recreational high out of this. You're doing it to practice getting those arms swinging and being more exaggerated than this. And if you do a few practice back steps, and I think if you had somebody to hang on to, it might be good, or the old-fashioned grapevines, maybe a little slow at first. My dad. But if you practice this, how much easier is regular walking? So if you challenge yourself to do some of these things, you're going to find that you can challenge yourself, be extreme, then when you back off and you're doing your everyday things, it's going to be a lot easier.